Harper to left field and deep. Conforto is going to watch it. It's gone. Second game in a row against the Giants. Bryce Harper's hit a 3-run homer. Chapman to shallow right. Merrifield's got it, and that finishes off a 4-game sweep.
Now, back to Willard and Dibs on 95.7 The Game.
That's our buddy Dave. Dave works at NBC Sports Bay Area. That's Dave. Dave likes to come on the roast every single week. Roast is seemingly already a big word this week. Tom Brady got roasted. Steiny and Goo got roasted. And the Giants about to get roasted.
They just got roasted in Philadelphia. 4-game sweep on a wraparound Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Loss. And of the 4 losses, hard to pick one that was the most winnable game.
Last night.
I guess.
Last night.
I mean, they rallied, kind of.
I mean, 2 one-run games, so it's one of those.
Yeah. But I mean,
you could leave Saturday night in the garbage can and don't ever, take the trash out, put it at the edge of the road right now. That was some crap. I'm not going to say I don't know what to say because I do know what to say.
Say it.
But this is brutal. This is absolutely brutal. It's been 36 games. We can do the there's plenty of time thing.
Yep.
There is. Blake Snell might come save the day once a week.
Robbie Ray's coming.
They're so hard to watch. Last night, a man named Jackson, who nobody's ever heard of before, swinging a drive deep into the left field night, just in time to lose by 1. That home run last night at the end of the game by a man named Jackson that none of you have heard of before and likely never will again. That home run represented the only time in the last 2 weeks that the Giants have scored more than 3 runs in a baseball game. I liked the offseason signings. You could still talk me into some of them. Sure, there's time. Is Soler going to get hot? He's always been streaky. Is Chapman going to swing through all the fastballs all year long? I don't know. Plays a mean third base over there. And sure, the defense is better. Blake Snell, has he been given even a fair shake yet for us to even get to know him? Probably not. And quite frankly, Jung-Hoo Lee is about the only thing I even like about this team. But I'm not here to defend Farhan Zaidi or, quite frankly, anyone. Melvin doesn't get a pass. Farhan doesn't get a pass. Larry, Tom, Dick, Harry, Charles, Greg, all of the one-syllable guy names who run all of this stuff, none of them, nobody, the players themselves should not get a pass. I am beyond frustrated at the inability to be exciting when you're an entertainment entity, number one, and I am beyond shocked that the Giants can't produce talent. If I had to whittle this down for me to one thing, that's my sentence. And this is this regime, and to a degree, it was the end of the last regime, too. How the hell are we still sitting here? Basically, since Lincecum, Kane, Mad Bum, and Buster, since that generation and since that dynasty, it feels like we've gotten a sum total of Patrick Bailey and Logan Webb. Like maybe Kyle Harrison. That's what we've got. That's the talent you've produced in 8 years. For 5 years, I've sat in this city with a microphone talking about Marco Luciano and Elliot Ramos and Luis Matos, and they're still River Cats. They're still River Cats. So if you want to rip anyone in the front office for the Giants, now's the time. But for me, that's what we're talking about. It's not them being cheap. The stupid analytics thing has obviously been talked out and to a degree figured out. Gabe Kapler's not the manager anymore. Bob Melvin now is. They're not cheap. They spent this offseason almost as much as anybody. And the signings with each one individually made sense to me on paper. But you can't produce talent. You can't draft anyone. Farhan Zaidi last week just said, you know what? I think we probably need to look at adding corner outfield offensive players in the draft more than we have. You just got that 6 years in? And don't act like you haven't tried. That's exactly who Hunter Bishop is.
Yeah.
You missed. They got to draft and develop. And they can't.
Well,
They
and
can't.
the part of that I am frustrated with myself is the fact that you've got Elliot Ramos playing great in AAA, yet he doesn't get a chance to come up and play here with the big club. And I know Farhan made a point of talking about his recent text message with Elliot, who said, I'm ready. Just say the word, and I'll come to San Francisco, and I can help you. You mentioned this team has only scored more than 3 runs once in the last 2 weeks, I think you said.
Correct.
And yet you've got a guy down in AAA who's ripping the cover off the baseball, and you've got Austin Slater up here, and we watched his at-bat today, and he was overmatched by a 93-mile-an-hour fastball. He was late, and he continues to struggle. And I know small sample, and everybody wants to small sample it. It's early May. And,
Not that small.
but at some point,
Not that small.
it's as small as you want to make it. And the point is, you've got guys who you've been trying to produce on the farm who have actually been playing pretty well down there. So at what point do you really let them come up and have a chance? And you mentioned Luciano before the show. He's not hitting a lot of homers, but he's starting to hit the ball much harder down in AAA. Elliot Ramos is having a great year at AAA. Everyone wants to see Matos. At what point do you stop beating your head against the wall with this pretty sad offense? And
Matos looks awful down there. He looks awful down there. So, I get it.
Yeah.
And he looked amazing last year, and then they brought him up, and people were not wowed at all. Luciano's on-base percentage is phenomenal. He probably should be called up.
Ramos's OPS is damn near 1,000.
Ramos is playing fantastic, but he has, and then he hasn't, and then he has. It's not like Ramos hasn't gotten called up.
Right.
He's been up. He doesn't do much when he gets here.
Well, give him another chance, because what we have up here is a lot of bad at-bats, and you've got an offense that it's without much pop. And just watch Philadelphia. Even watching the game today as we're on the air, and we're not watching it as closely as we otherwise would, but Bryce Harper, Grandy played the highlight, boom, 3-run homer. Schwarber, boom, home run. That's a team with bats, and they've got pop and power. This Giants team, you don't have a lot of threatening sticks in that lineup, especially without Soler, who's, I don't know if he's injured or if he's just a little hurt with the shoulder.
He's got a shoulder.
But even when he's playing, he gets home runs, solo home runs. You don't have a lot of crooked innings with this team.
No, their home runs don't matter. Their home runs come like last night when you're down 5-3 and then you get to lose 5-4. Awesome. Really cool. You were down 5-1 and then you got to be down 5-3 and then you got to lose 5-4. Cool home runs. Didn't do a damn thing. Yeah, Soler has not had what I would consider like a big hit at the right time. It's a double play. It's a strikeout with runners in scoring position almost every time. And that's the story of what's happened. The guy who hit 3-run homers in back-to-back games against you, that was the free agent you should have gotten. And he, I believe, was willing to come. But you decided that $25 million over 13 years, you didn't want to do that. You didn't want to do those $2 million. Now the Giants are ready to be like, God, we got to really get outside the building, and we got to go spend, and we got to get some people. And that's what happens when you come from a desperate situation. It's not that I didn't like the signings, but they're probably a little bit too little too late. You waited until you had no choice. People stopped coming. Earlier in this process, you had to run numbers and you had to decide we've got to win the deal every time. We'll spend, but only if it's exactly the way we think it fits into a puzzle. Well, that's not the way people shop when they're having fun. Nobody wants to vacation that way. Nobody wants to fit it into a box. Nobody wants to go shopping for clothes and be like, yep, got it, like $19.99. Sorry, it's $21.99. We're not doing it. You could have had Bryce Harper, and you didn't, and that was a colossal disaster because now he kicks your butt every single time we see him, and you're now chasing that guy. That was the guy. I don't think you could have gotten Aaron Judge. You couldn't have gotten Shohei Ohtani. What's his name? Stanton would have been a horrible thing. Correa, that wouldn't have worked. The guy was Bryce Harper. And I actually think you had his ear. And those $25 million over 13 years, you decided, we're not doing that. And so now, instead, you're going to do 1-2 punch of Soler and Matt Chapman. And that's nice. I'm glad you're spending. I'm glad there's effort. But the Giants are a victim of their own system. Farhan Zaidi has said from the beginning, we can spend money all we want. If it's not paired with homegrown talent, it won't work. Well, he was right about that. And they just don't have it. They do not have the talent, apparently. You know, we're right back into the same conversation that you and I have gotten into about the Niners and Warriors through the years.
Right.
The whole, like, we'll give the young guys a chance. And it's like, if they don't get a chance, is it because they actually don't think they're any good? Or do they just hate young people? I don't know. There's also finances involved in this.
Right, and roster machinations as well.
Blow out Slater and Yaz. It's like those are guys they have contracts.
Right.
Can't just be like, you're out. But, yeah, you're stuck. You need homegrown talent, and you just haven't been able to do it. It's absolutely unbelievable how long we've gone without you being able as an organization to be like, we got this cool new hitter. Oh, my God. When is that ever going to happen?
Well, we've talked about the names, and the names have been close, and they've come up for a little bit and not done a lot, and then now they're back down at AAA, and we all thought starting the year that Luciano is going to be your starting shortstop. He's going to be the opening day shortstop, and as spring training got underway, you realize, well, he's probably not, and then it's going to be Ahmed who comes in, and Matos, and he's not going to be ready, and Luciano's still not ready, and Elliot Ramos is doing all he can to get up here, but he's not given a chance, and meanwhile, you get to watch Yaz strike out, and Slater striking out, and a lot of ground ball, double play balls, and by and large, an offense that is kind of like what we saw last year and not dissimilar to what we saw the year before. It's dull. This offense is dull. They don't have a lot of threatening hitters. And you made a joke earlier during one of the breaks, like, how come every Phillies player looks like Bryce Harper?
They do.
They all have long hair and these crazy beards, and they swing out of their heels,
and they all
drive the ball.
And they all have the same batting stance.
Right.
And in that ballpark, 2 to 3 times a game, they hit the ball over the fence. Real quick, because I want to get this off, too. You're listening to 95.7 The Game, KGMZH, FM and HD1 San Francisco, Odyssey Sports Station. Always live on the free Odyssey app. Twitch and YouTube powered by First NorCal Credit Union. Upgrade your savings dividend. Open a First NorCal First Class Money Market today. I'm cruising around driving kids to school this morning, and Bonte and Joe, but the other Joe, Spadoni, is in here, and they've got Howard Eskin on. Every Eskin comes on that show every week, and each time I'm listening, and I'm like reacting to something. Today, Howard Eskin says, yeah, the Phillies are probably one of 3 good teams in the National League, but they got a problem. They're just too home run heavy. I was about to drive into some shrubbery You
Too home run heavy.
We didn't want to like damage the car, but I was like, let's find some shrubbery and let's drive into the shrubbery because here's my guy Howard Eskin talking to Bonte and Spadoni. Yep, sitting back waiting for too many home runs. Good Lord, if we could only have that problem for a week. We're sitting back here waiting for any runs. Any runs. 2 weeks and you don't get 4 runs one time? Except for when someone named Jackson accidentally ties into one in the top of the 9th to just lose a game by less. I don't know what to say, except for I do. You can't do this. You cannot do this. You cannot have no talent production. We just imagined for a second what's going to happen if the tweet comes down and Klay Thompson walks. Some of you, I promise you, I prediction right now, we will get at least one phone call that day on the air on 95.7 The Game where someone is crying. Someone will cry. Because homegrown talent. We spent weeks slapping around the idea of Brandon Ayuk or Deebo Samuel not being on the 49ers. How devastating that would be. Homegrown talent. The Giants only make us cry because we're so bored. Because we're so bored. Because not only do you not give us good baseball, you don't even give us good people to go root for.
Right.
And I don't mean that to sound like they're not good people. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you have a lot of guys who aren't from the farm who come in on 1 to 3 year deals and then they're gone. They're guys you can't even really get to know for that long. And part of it was the Kapler era where it was, constant substituting and the lineup was never the same. This year I was excited because you had the lineup and you could look at a Giants game and pretty much know what the lineup was going to be, top to bottom, 1 through 9. Now it's changed a little bit due to injury and ineffectiveness, but it felt like they were making strides. You had everyday players in Jung-Hoo Lee, everyday guy, Chapman, Soler, Estrada. You had guys that you could rely on to be out there every single day, yet they haven't gotten it done, Mark. The offense, 15 of their 36 games, they've scored 4 or more runs. 15, they have 15 wins, and not coincidentally, 15 times they've had 4 or more runs. 21 times they've scored 3 or fewer.
I want this to be different so bad. And
I can see it on your face.
There is plenty about this where I have been wrong over the last 5 years of assessing where this is at. 2021 was a ton of fun. It looked smart. It looked new. Everyone goes, oh, well, they were playing the righty-lefty game. Dude, they were hitting bombs.
They were number 2 in baseball in home runs.
Number 2 in baseball in home runs, playing at 3rd and King, where the ball don't fly, and right center field is 1,000 feet away. That was so much fun. So I fought back for a while about and I still will. This whole idea of you need marketable, I want to buy a jersey. You'll buy the jersey. We're chicken or the egg here. You'll buy the jersey if the player becomes good. He doesn't need to be a big name. I'd have jumped all over Bryce Harper. But he doesn't need to be that. He can be Buster or Mad Bum or Timmy or Matt. People who, when they got here, you're like, who's this guy? The difference is when they got here, we went, oh, they can play baseball. But right now, we're getting fed the same names for 5 years, and every time they get here, they stink out loud. What is that? Is that them? Is it you? Is it your drafting? Is it your developing? Is it how you're working with them or how you're not? I don't know. Well, look at the common denominator in all of it. The common denominator is Farhan Zaidi.
So, and you can't put all the blame on him, but
I mean, not all of it.
Some of these guys weren't drafted by him.
Right. Luciano and Ramos are not Farhan guys.
Right, but where are the Farhan guys?
Same, yeah.
Exactly. They're not here. And the free agent signings, this was a great free agent class because he spent all that money. Snell, too hurt to play. Chapman playing like second half Chapman from last year. Soler now banged up, and he hasn't really lived up to the billing. You mentioned Jung-Hoo Lee. He's the one guy who I love to watch him play on both sides of the ball.
And feel like he didn't come up through the Giants minor league system, but he's going to feel homegrown.
Right.
Because he's never worn another major league uniform, and he won't for a while. That's the other thing. We're like, we got this guy for a little while. Honestly, the one thing will make me smile about this season so far, and it's Jung-Hoo Lee. That's it. That's it.
I was going to say Keaton Wynn, but up until that, was that Saturday night he pitched?
I mean,
that was a rough one.
Doval's amazing. But even your light show is campy. You can do better. You can do better. The Mets have people singing and playing instruments.
Have you seen the Twins?
The Twins, it's unbelievable.
My God, yeah.
It's unbelievable. But that's what everything with the Giants right now feels copycat. It all feels copycat. You come second and do it second best. Oh, the Dodgers? Like, look at the middle of the order with the Dodgers. None of it's homegrown. None of it. It's Ohtani, Freeman, and Betts. None of them came through the Dodgers system. But they're so freaking good because they go after the right guy and they sprinkle homegrown around them. And you just haven't been able to do it on any level. Bob Melvin, NBC Sports Bay Area, moments ago.
We got to clean it up. We got to play better. You know, we left home. What were we, one game under 500? We weren't playing very well. I thought that might be a pretty good place for us, being that we hadn't played well. And now we're playing terribly. So we have to clean it up.
Yeah. What does that even mean? Clean it up. What does that mean? You're not out there kicking the ball all over the place.
Well,
you just don't hit the ball.
Ahmed got hit by a sniper. Threw that ball into the camera well.
I should say there's two things that make me smile. That was kind of funny.
Yes.
You just tripped. That's kind of like when you're walking down the street and you just trip and you look around and you're like, I'm going to start running.
Oh, my God.
You just tripped.
Happens to me sometimes on the walk back to the car.
Exactly.
Yeah, seriously. One bad step, especially when it's rainy, it gets slippery out there. But the base running has been bad. The defense has not been as improved as we would have liked. And I think that's partly what he's talking about when he's saying clean it up. And also, one thing we were talking about on the thread is I think Granny might have said this, they swing at balls and then pitches that are right down the middle they look at.
That's what, if you want,
like, what the hell?
Your at-bats stink.
They're backwards.
You don't swing at fastballs. Some of the guys who do, Chapman and Soler, middle of the order, they just swing right through them.
Yeah.
By the way, I'm not the only guy to say on 95.7 The Game today that the Giants suck. Howard Eskin on the roast.
The Giants suck. My gosh, I didn't realize they were that bad. They are a bad baseball team. They can't hit. Oh, it's embarrassing.
I wish I could get mad at him for his inflammatory.
He's right.
He's dead on. He's dead on. Play the first part of that again. Just the way
the Giants suck.
Just the delivery. The delivery, what are you going to say to that?
No, he captures it because, oh, by the way, that's how you come to the TV set of the ball game. There's no way this group can be this bad. It's not possible. That rotation, these players who all have a resume in the game, Melvin included, resume. What is it? There's no way you can stink this bad. Everybody got so excited. The kids are coming up during dinner time. They're like, Dad, what? This sucks. I really thought they were going to be good. I didn't know how good they'd be. I thought at minimum, this is a competitive team. This is so incredible.